afternoon. Sorry for the noise. It is very hot, so the AC is in full blast and I don't know how to turn it off. As you can see, I'm in my sister's apartment. This week, my parents decided to remodel the stairs, and I knew it was going to be really difficult with my cat, so I decided to come here for the week just so he won't be around that chaos and that mess and everything like that. So that's why I'm here. I am participating in Summerween. By participating, I mean I'm just going to be reading a lot of spooky books while I'm here. It's a great way to get those out of the way as fast as possible, basically. So for this week, I only brought a lot of short books because the heavier books were heavier to carry between places. So my goal is to basically read as many books as possible while I'm here. This is basically my TBR for the week. The first book that I have and that I've actually started reading already is Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. And this is a sapphic horror mystery novel of a woman who becomes infatuated by another woman, but it kind of turns into a stalker, obsessive kind of relationship. And honestly, this was definitely a cover buy. As soon as I saw it at the bookstore that I was in, I was like, hey, yo, I need this. It is so beautiful, and I do low-key like that it's short. Like I said, I already started this. I'm only in chapter 4, and it's definitely respecting my time. So far it's really been a fast-paced read, and I'm enjoying my time. I hope the rest of the book isn't like this, but one thing that I didn't really like in the first couple of pages was that it is contemporary. So the author did reference a couple modern day things, like she mentioned Instagram and she was talking about cottagecore. So like that kind of threw me out of what I was reading. But overall, it is a very good time. I definitely really like it. I don't have my tabs with me, but there are a few underlines in here that I will tab in the future. The next book that I have is You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca. I have heard a lot about this specific author and most of his books. I can't remember which one is like apparently very controversial, but definitely when someone I know saw that I owned this book, they were like, oh my god, you have to tell me how it is. I think this is a book of short stories, so it should be another fast read and everything, but I'm excited to finally get to it because I think I bought it last year or earlier this year. I don't remember, but I'm excited to finally get to it. The next book that I have for this TBR list is Woodworm by Leila Martinez, and this is a horror novel about a mother and daughter visiting a haunted house or something like that. This is a book that just came out, so when I bought it, it didn't really have a lot of reviews, but I am very excited to read it, especially because it was blurbed by Mariana Enriquez, who's the author of Our Shared Night, which is a really big horror novel in the internet, I guess. The next small book I have is The Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. And I forgot what it's about, but I do know that it had a similar synopsis to Mother Thing. So I remember being really excited when I bought it, and yeah, so I put it in this TBR. It seems a little thicker, but it's like the way that it's written, I know it's going to be more fast-paced. And it's less than 200 pages. It's still less than 200 pages, basically. So there's that. The Thing Between Us. The next novel, and this one's kind of a maybe. I just brought it just in case. And this one is more of like a murder mystery. And it's Agatha Christie's And Then They Were None. I read this book in 8th grade, I think. And I've actually have been wanting to reread it for a very long time. And I finally bought my own copy, so I'm actually really excited to finally reread it. I also saw the black and white movie version of this novel, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. My next novel is Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects. I was debating on getting Gone Girl, but since I've already seen the movie, I kind of wanted to try something that I don't know what it's about before I read Gone Girl, just to see if I actually like the style of writing of this author. And I've heard that, I think I've heard mixed reviews about this one. They either like it or they don't type situation. But I remember when I read the synopsis, I thought it sounded pretty interesting. And then the last I would personally consider short form book is actually a graphic novel. And I tend to read those pretty quickly since it's mostly pictures. And that is Tomes by Junji Ito. Junji Ito? The horror guy. So happy Tuesday. It is the next day and I actually finished Bloom. I'll share all my thoughts at the end of this video, but for right now, all I could say is no pues wow. I really liked this one. This one was pretty good. Last night I also started Woodworm by Leila Martinez, and I definitely could have finished this last night too, but my sister decided to put on Game of Thrones and I got distracted. But it's pretty interesting. The writing is pretty easy to follow. It's about a grandmother and her granddaughter living in a haunted house, basically. And yeah, I'm about halfway through. It's a little slow for my liking when it comes to the horror. Bloom was also a slow burn, but it was still interesting. And this one, I keep coming in and out of the story in a sense. It is dual perspective. There's the whole unreliable narrator aspect to it, so that gives it some kind of intrigue. I am still working on this novel and I'll check up with you guys again when I am done with this. Finished it. I don't know how I feel about it. So I'll give you my full thoughts at the end. Hi, good morning. So today is Wednesday and I can't remember where I left off in my reading update, but I am officially done with You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca. And again, more thoughts in the very end, but this one definitely had more horror in it than the last two that I read, so that was pretty exciting, but more thoughts later. So now we're getting into big boy territory. The next couple of books that I brought for this challenge are all around 200 pages or a little more. And the way that I've been reading, it would be 1.5 books every day. But I think we're getting to just 1 book a day type situation. I mean, who knows? We'll see. They could probably be fast-paced and quick reads, but we'll see, right? So I'm choosing between This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno and Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, and Gillian Flynn, Sharp Objects. I already read a novel involving technology. I'm gonna go with And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Like I mentioned earlier, I read this book in 8th grade and I remember really liking it. So I'm excited to revisit it with a adult brain, I guess. And yeah, I will see you with the first update of my reading. Happy 4th of July! It's been a while since I've recorded, so it's definitely the next day. And I forgot where I left off in that update. So forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but I am actually reading And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And I'm about halfway through it, and like I suspected, it's such a fun read. If you don't know this book, it's about a group of 10 people they're invited to an island, and nobody knows who invited them. And it turns out that they're all accused of murder, and each person dies one by one throughout the story. And all their deaths correspond to a nursery rhyme that's themed on the island. All of their deaths are the exact same of a nursery rhyme type situation. You know, it goes to the beat of One Little Monkey, jumping on a bed, but it's 10 little soldiers, whatever, one suffocated, and then there were 9. And so eventually it's And Then There Were None, right? Right now we are about to get to the 8th death, I think. Yes, because 2 are dead already. We're about to get to the 8th death. I'm having a good time, and I really, like I said, we're starting the chunkier books, so I really hope I could finish this one by tomorrow. By tonight, so that tomorrow I can actually start a new book. Yes, I was supposed to read this yesterday, but I got distracted with some YouTube, and now we're back on track. This is definitely a really easy read. I could see why they gave it to middle schoolers. So it's going by fast. It's about to be 5, so I'm pretty sure even at my slow pace, I'll be able to finish this on time today. And that is the update for now. Good morning. I promise it's the next day. I only have 1 sweater and this isn't even mine. So the AC is really cold in her apartment and that's why I'm wearing it. So I think the last update I was mentioning that I was gonna start reading Gillian Flynn. That I was gonna start reading Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. And I'm about a couple pages in. I think I'm about to finish chapter 2. And I'm interested. The roots are there. I'm not really a big mystery person, so I do like this challenge of reading books outside my comfort zone, basically. So today is Friday, and I'm supposed to end the video today, but I think I'm gonna stay here a little longer just because I don't think the renovations are over, and that's the whole point. Reading as many books as I can while I'm in my sister's apartment. So even if I do finish these books this weekend I do have backups. Or not backups, I do have more books for another Summerween video. So we'll most likely start that video afterwards. Anyways, so yeah, so I'm gonna get started. Oh, hi, precious. So I'm gonna get started on reading and hopefully I can finish this today. Also, can I just say, I'm pretty proud of myself that I've been able to finish all these books on schedule, because if you're new here, I'm a really slow reader. I'm sure anybody else in the booktube community could finish this in like under 3 hours or whatever, 250 pages, but I can't. So the fact that my pace is going well makes me feel good. Anyways, yes, I am going to get to reading. Hi, and welcome to another day. I'm here, I'm still at my sister's apartment, and I just got news that I think I'm gonna have to be here for another week. I don't understand why it takes so long to rebuild stairs, but that is the case, or at least a couple more days. I know for a fact they're not gonna work Sunday, and my mom told me that they're nowhere near finishing. So unless a miracle happens on Saturday and I could go home on Sunday, we're here for a couple more days. I mean, honestly, the couch is not uncomfortable, you know? I just really miss my bed. And so yeah. The good thing is that I do have swimsuits here. I could go to the pool. She has a gym if I were to want to use it, I guess. And I do have my coffee and my creamer here. I'm prepared to stay longer. We're okay. We're okay. We're okay. Anyways, so I am still working on my first Summerween video, and I don't know when that's gonna go up. I thought it was gonna go up before this video, but who knows, because I forgot my SIM card adapter for my laptop, so I can't even edit anything right now. So I'm basically just, I'm basically just recording footage until I can edit something. I'll probably end up making just like a giant Summerween video, as opposed to having multiple videos throughout the week, which kind of sucks because I personally really wanted to get as much content as I could, but you gotta adapt, adapt. My sister's here, so right on time. I'll see you guys in the next update. Okay. Good morning and welcome to another week. I don't know what I said in my last update, but I was told by my parents that the stair reconstruction is taking longer than they thought, so I am here longer than I thought. But luckily I did come prepared. It's actually Monday of next week, and over the weekend I started and finished Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This one took me a while to really get into because I think I was a little burned out by Thursday night, Friday. So I kept picking it up and putting it down and just went about my days, but I did finally finish it and I really liked it. It was pretty good. I think I might read more of Gillian Flynn. I'm not sure about Gone Girl, but I think I might read her other book. And again, I'll give my full thoughts at the end of the video. So the next book that I started reading, it is The Things Between Us by Gus Moreno. And I'm only 70 pages in and I am already so obsessed. I wish that I had a pen with me when I first started it because there are a lot of things that I just want to highlight and annotate, but I hate annotating mid-book, so that's probably gonna be a reread type situation. But yeah, I can't wait to finish this. Hopefully the ending is just as good as the beginning because I think I found another favorite within this stack. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, I did come prepared. So after these things between us, we're starting bigger books. So instead of a book a day, I guess like the timeline is gonna be longer. So if anything, for this next half of the video, it would be how many big books can I read while I'm still at this apartment. And our list consists of The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And this one's been around BookTube and Book Talk and everything like that. And I heard it was a fun read, so I'm really excited to get into it, especially because I do like vampires. The next book that I have that I'm really excited to actually read is The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. I heard while making the movie that William freaking tried to stay as close to the source material as possible. So I do want to see how the book compares to the movie since I've already seen the movie. And the last book that I have is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And this is my second Riley Sager, and I've heard from a lot of people that it is very hit or miss. But I don't know, I really liked the premise when it came out, and I've been waiting for the paperback copy. So now that I finally have it, I think it's time to finally read it. So yeah, so these are the 3 books that I want to try to get through while I'm still here. That is the update for today. See you in the next one. Hi, hello, and 'tis the next day. Today is Tuesday the 9th, and I finished These Things Between Us, and I really liked the first half. The middle half was a little slower in my opinion, but the last half was weird. And I guess I'll give more details at the end of this video, but I did just want to say that with the update. I did finish These Things Between Us very early into yesterday, and I have been stalling since then because my next read, because I want to go by number of pages, so the longest book that I'm gonna read is the last book that I want to read. So the next book on my list is actually The Exorcist, and I am legit so scared to read it. I've been stalling. I woke up late. It's almost 2 p.m. and I'm stalling. But as soon as I turn off this camera, I will be starting this. I am going to try to update you guys every couple of chapters, since I think this is gonna take me a couple days, as opposed to the day-and-a-half pace that I've been doing. But then again, who sees? Maybe it's an easy read and I'm just flying by it. But yes, my goal is to try to update every every so often. So this book is actually split up in 4 parts. So I'll try to update at the end of every part just to see where my thoughts are. Especially because I've been excited to read this book because I did recently watch the movie for the very first time, and I was very scared, don't get me wrong, but I fell in love with the movie. I love the fact that it was basically a drama with horror elements. And boy, did they do those horror elements well. So I'm looking forward to see how the movie equates to the book in the sense of that drama aspect, if I'll be able to connect to the characters the same way that I connected to those characters in the movie and everything like that. And yeah, so I will see you in the first update for The Exorcist. Hello! It's definitely been a couple of days since the last update. It's just been really hard to vlog it here in my sister's apartment. More specifically, it's been really hard to do a reading vlog here in my sister's apartment, just because I'm still a little nervous to talk in the camera in front of her. And then also, I just get so absorbed in the book that I forget to turn on the camera. So, with that being said, it has been a couple of days since the last update, so I have officially finished The Exorcist. That was a good time. It really was. Yeah, so again, more details at the end of this video. Just because I want to be able to sit with my thoughts before I completely say anything, but I did actually really enjoy it. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be, so that was pretty cool. Technically, Summerween is now officially over, and I don't know if I've said it in any of my other clips, but I forgot my SIM card adapter at my house, so I can't edit any videos until I go back home, unfortunately. Not only is this video going up late, but I'm also just extending it to however many days I've been in this apartment, basically. Oh man. Anyways, so today is Saturday, and I finished The Exorcist on Thursday. Yesterday, I tried reading the graphic novel Tombs by Junti Ito, and I was enjoying it, but I put it down about halfway just because I guess I was just a little burnt out in reading and everything. Honestly, it just has to do because of my situation, not because I've been reading too much. And yeah, so today I am going to try to pick up, it's all the way in the couch, but I'm gonna pick up the Riley Sager book that I have. I forgot what it's called. One Last Night, I think? Something like that. I'm gonna pick up Riley Sager now, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I am going to make breakfast and I shall see you in the next part. Hi, and actually welcome to the end of the video. I think where I left off, I had just started, or I was about to start reading The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And like always, I forgot to turn on the camera, and it's actually been a week since I last filmed. So we're just gonna go ahead and end this video. To kind of summarize what basically happened is that my parents decided to remodel the stairs at our house. They look amazing. They look great. I'm very happy for them to be able to do this. Apparently they also took out the carpet from upstairs, from the hallway of upstairs and in their room, and they also added wood flooring to all of that. So that's something that I didn't expect, something different that I didn't expect. And they both thought that it would take a week and a weekend, right? No one was expecting for this renovation to last 3 weeks. It started late June, and I literally thought I'd be going home that Sunday, which is July 7th, but I didn't get home until July 20th. So yeah, I obviously didn't bring enough clothes. I knew I wasn't gonna go anywhere, so since it was just that 1 week, I just brought my pajamas, what I already had on at that moment, and a casual outfit for when I needed to walk my dog and everything like that. Yeah, anyways, crazy. So my Summerween challenge ended up being reading as many books as I can in those 3 weeks, and the total of that Summerween challenge is 10 books. And technically it's like a 9.5, but I still count it because I realized that I was literally almost over with it, so I'm gonna still count it. Here are my final thoughts for all 10 books that I read for Summerween. So the first book that I want to start with is actually the one that I DNF'd, I guess, the one that I claim still counts. That is Tomes by Junji Ito. And I literally just stopped reading it when I had like 2 stories left. I just wasn't really in the mood to finish it because at this point, I think we were just about to enter the 3rd week of living together. I was kind of getting burnt out because I wanted to go home already. I read most of it. I didn't even realize I had 2 stories left until I picked it up again and was like, I should have just finished it. And I just spent the rest of however many days before I read the next book on YouTube. And so now I'm going to start from the first book that I read to the last official book that I read. So the first book that I read is Bloom by Delilah Dawson. And this book is actually officially going to be part of my favorites shelf. Fell in love with this book so much. I thought, at first I thought the writing was a little pretentious, but the writing really reflected the specific character we were following. And this is about a woman who is kind of in a lull in her life, and she meets this manic pixie dream girl at a farmer's market and ends up falling in love with her. And
Their relationship kind of takes off from there, and then it takes a giant twist. That's basically all I'm gonna say. Sorry, one of the quotes says, "Sapphic longing with a dash of darkness, the perfect recipe." Basically the perfect recipe. As I mentioned within the vlog, this was a cover buy, but I was very interested in the premise, and I am so happy that I picked it up, honestly. I unfortunately kind of related to our main character, not just because she is an English major, but just like other things that she would talk about herself in a sense. And I don't want to say what they are just because I feel like they will spoil the book. Like, that's because it's so small, any detail will spoil the book basically. But the thing that just officially made me put it in the favorites shelf was the ending. The ending. That's all I'm gonna say. So yes, Bloom definitely won a spot in the favorite shelf for sure. I actually can't wait to put flaggies on all the spots that I annotated because I didn't have my sticky notes at the apartment. But yes, the second book that I read was Woodworm by Leila Martinez. And this is actually a very, very new release. It came out in May, and I obviously bought it late June, read it late June, early July. So it didn't really have a lot of reviews when I bought it, but I had high hopes for it just because the premise sounded something that I'm very into. I love a mother daughter grandma dynamic story, generational story, there you go. I really do like generational stories, specifically when it is between female characters, and the fact that it had the horror elements thrown into it. I was really excited to read this, but I'm not gonna lie, this book was kind of disappointing. I'm sure you probably noticed it during the vlog that I was a little confused by the ending. So Woodworm is about a grandmother and her granddaughter living in a haunted house because essentially they're kind of tethered to the house. Even the mom, the grandmother's daughter, just always felt that if they were to leave, they'll always come back. And the grandmother technically never left. She never attempted to live somewhere else. And this house was built by the grandfather, or the grandmother's husband, who was also a very mean and violent pimp, so to say. And so the spirits haunting the house are the spirits of the women and other victims of her husband. Obviously, she didn't know who he was when she got married to him and couldn't get out. The only reason why this kind of disappointed me was just because it was a little too slow for me. It definitely read more like a literary fiction with supernatural elements, and it is marketed as a straight up horror novel, and I personally do feel like they're two different things. It wasn't, well, at least for me, it wasn't scary at all. I wasn't freaked out by any mentions of the supernatural or anything like that, and in the end, that's what ended up disappointing me. The ending was also a little confusing just because it was a little too ambiguous for me. An ambiguous ending is not an issue for me, like at all. I actually really like them most of the time. But the narration kept changing between the grandma and the granddaughter. We would read the granddaughter first, and then the grandma's point of view would basically say, yo, she lied. This is actually how it went down. So I didn't know who to believe. Technically, the ending was in the grandmother's point of view, but it was still very ambiguous. And I don't know, I just didn't like it. I wish it was just a little clearer to what we were reading or what we were seeing at the very end. Just my opinion. I do, however, I think I want to reread this, give it a second chance, just to see if it was just like my circumstances, the fact that it was a challenge and me trying to read it fast or whatever. And yeah, while I was reading it, I was enjoying it, which is one of the main reasons why I want to give it a second chance. And that was Woodworm by Leila Martinez. The third book that I read for this Summerween challenge was You Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca. And I know he has another novel that is kind of considered controversial, or a lot of people are like really scared of it or something like that. So I had a lot of high hopes again. This was the first book out of the other two that I read that had a lot more gore and horror elements to it, for sure, as you can tell by the beautiful cover. But again, I don't know, I was left a little disappointed. It was a good, fun read, I'm not gonna lie about that. I just wished the parts that I liked were the majority of the book, as opposed to the parts that I didn't like, if that makes sense. So, spoilers for You Lost a Lot of Blood. So, this novel is about a friend of the serial killer collecting all of his work to essentially show the killer's motives, because you could see them throughout the book apparently. And what we have is basically transcripts of conversations between the killer and his boyfriend, who was his accomplice, poems from the killer, and a novella that he wrote in his lifetime. But the novella was split between chapters. So it would be transcript, poem, novella, transcript, poem, novella, until the novella was like officially finished, right? Other than the conversations that were pretty weird and creepy, the majority of the horror came from the novella that we were reading, came from the book within the book, basically. And those were the parts that I did not like. I did not like the little novella that was thrown in here. I'm not a big sci-fi girly, and the horror novella was about a video game type situation, in a video game Groundhog Day situation. And I mean, it was interesting, but it just wasn't my favorite. I really wish we would have had way more of the transcripts and poetry, because like that was way more interesting for me than the actual sci-fi novel that he was trying to write. And what really bummed me out was the fact that the novella is what was called You've Lost a Lot of Blood. So it was a bummer. It was a fun read regardless, because you know, I usually don't read these kinds of books, so it got me here and there, I'm not gonna deny that, and it is very well written, but overall I didn't like it. Okay, sorry about that, my battery died. So if I had to wait for the rest of my batteries to recharge, so if the lighting's different, that's why. Anyways, You Lost a Lot of Blood. I liked it. Could have been better, personally. So the next book that I read is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And this was a really good read, you know? It's a classic for a reason. It's very well written. The mystery and twists are really good. This was a really good and fun read, very nostalgic. The next book that I read after that is This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. And this novel is about a grieving widow dealing with a lot of supernatural events that actually began while his wife was still alive and have continued after her death. This is written by a Mexican American who lives in Chicago, so there were a lot of things that I could relate to, honestly. Just like the whole cultural aspects and everything that he mentions about his Mexican side was just so relatable, so that made me get hooked from the very beginning, honestly. His wife was also Mexican American, but she happened to know Spanish. He didn't. Him not knowing Spanish is actually a hilarious comedic element for this novel, and I really liked that little detail. So like I said during the actual reading portion of this video, this book is split up in 3 parts. The first part was amazing, great, beautiful, 10 out of 10, hands down, loved it. The middle part was a little slower, was kind of... It didn't hit as hard as the first part, and that is also when we got introduced to a dog. And just like in horror movies, stop killing dogs! Anyways, and then the third one went from scary horror haunting to uncanny, weird, supernatural. I don't know, it got weird, and that I legit don't even know what happened to our main character towards the end. Again, I think I do want to reread this just in case I might have missed something in my first reread, especially because I wanted this to be a favorite so much after I finished part 1. But once I got to part 2, I started losing steam with that train of thought, and I want to give it a second chance to see if it can actually make it onto my favorite shelf. The next book after that I read is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. And this is about a journalist who has recently gotten out of the psychiatric hospital and is sent back to her hometown to cover the story of the missing girls that is going on in her town. And turns out that her personal life is part of it in a sense. I had a lot of fun reading this. I had my theories throughout the story, obviously. And while I guessed the whodunit right away, getting to the reveal was very surprising and very satisfying. There was a minute where I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty wrong, never mind. And then bam. The second twist, I think, is what it is. I was like, whoa. So it was a very satisfying trip to prove that I was right, basically. My next novel is The Exorcist, and this book. Okay, so when I was younger, I never saw the movie, but I obviously saw the face. You know, the face. And I was scared to death. I think a lot of kids can relate to this. A lot of people my age could relate to this. And then I just started watching a lot of horror movies in my late 20s. And I started facing my fears and everything like that. And I also started watching a specific channel. I started watching Mr. Gigi on YouTube, who also went through like this whole exorcist journey. And I saw all his videos on it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna suck it up and watch this movie. And I did. I saw it in January of this year, and I really liked it. I thought it was such a good crime movie with horror or supernatural elements. Bitch is scary, but it was definitely really good. I felt like the movie really helped you connect with the characters and everything like that, so you were there for the ride. And After I was done watching the movie, I decided that I wanted to read the book. I wanted to see how it compared to the movie, especially since it is said in one of the documentaries that Friedkin really tried to be as close to the source material as possible, and that just basically drilled in the idea of reading The Exorcist. And I finally did, and I'm so glad I finally did. Again, it really is just a mystery crime novel with supernatural elements in it. And with that being said, this novel also has a space on my favorites shelf. Blatty is a great writer, who would have thought? The book definitely gives you way more context of everything that I personally feel like the movie needed to kind of make it a little better, in my opinion. And especially specific relationships between specific characters. And when it comes to Chris McNeil, you could really feel her desperation of trying to figure out what is wrong with her daughter in the book. You could really feel that desperation a lot more than in the movie. And I think that added on to the obvious horror of the possession. I feel like you could also feel a little bit more of Father Karras's struggle with his belief in religion, but definitely the feelings of Chris McNeil and like just wanting to have her old daughter, her normal daughter again. Those were definitely amplified in a lot of scenes that were deleted or that weren't written into the movie. Just like all of the missing context, I guess, between the book and the movie definitely made the story a lot better, in my opinion. Even the exorcism scene, a little spoiler, but in the book, the exorcism actually lasts, I think, a whole week. And it added a lot more tension to it that was very much needed as well. I love religious texts in general, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, especially when they're well written. I had a feeling that I was gonna like this one for sure, and my feeling was right, but I'm surprised that it made it onto my favorites shelf, basically. So the last official book that I read for Summerween is Riley Sager's The Only One Left. And when I first heard about this book, I heard that it was very hit or miss depending on if you like Riley Sager or not, I think. And I actually really like it. This is about a caretaker who goes to live inside a mansion that's on top of a cliff, and her new client or patient is the lone survivor of a family that got murdered, the only one left, as you could say. And she is, or was, the only suspect of the murders. Everybody in town thinks that she actually did it, basically. I really liked it. My guy literally added a twist in the last 5 pages of the novel that I even thought was like, really? Like, really? It was very shoehorned in, I will say that. But it was good. I really liked this. I am definitely ready to read his new one with his very first male protagonist. And I am definitely going to finish reading his backlog for sure. He's written other books, obviously, and I've only read, this is my second one that I've read, so I shall continue to read him. And that is the end of this Summerween reading vlog. If you made it all the way over here, I want to thank you so much for watching and supporting. I'm a little upset because I couldn't post as much as I wanted to in July, because of the fact that I wasn't expecting how long I was going to be at my sister's apartment, and the fact that I left my SD card adapter at this house. And there was just no other workaround to it, especially since I don't have a job. I don't have spending money, so I couldn't just go out and buy a new one. Which is fine. It's cool. I wish I could have posted more, but it is what it is, and I'm back, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting a little like. And if you're curious of seeing more about my opinions on books or my journey in grad school dealing with ADHD, then consider subscribing. I try to post a vlog every week. And if this is where we part, then I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.